Hey y'all, it's Sharon and I'm back to share another experience with you guys, another policing experience. If you're new to the channel, I worked for 20 years as a police officer. I'm now retired. 11 of those years I was a detective. I'm sharing these experiences in hopes of helping someone else. So if you find something interesting, hit like, hit subscribe, and share. So I'm going to share this real quick experience with you guys. I found that in my policing career, fear was a driving factor in a lot of things that went on within the rank and file within policing. My last situation in which I had to basically report that officers were doing some corrupt things on a search warrant, and the fear that was just revolving around the whole situation, if you will. For me making my statements, I had to make two different statements. And then once I made the statements, the ostracism and the retaliation that happened, and this is over a course of at least a couple of years. And when I say fear, in terms of just telling the truth, that's all I did. I went in there, I told them what I saw. The very first time when I had to get questioned, I was called back a second time. They said my answers were too vague or too broad. And I felt like your questions were vague and broad. Because I knew from experience that if I said what I had to say, I was going to be retaliated against. I was going to be ostracized. But the second time I went in, they asked me specifics. I had to tell them specifics, and it was the truth. Now, when I say fear, there isn't anything set up in terms of supporting the officer. A couple of weeks ago, we saw where an officer kicked a suspect. She was handcuffed and another officer was just standing there. A lot of people don't realize, I knew both. How about that? I knew both the officers, and the female that was just standing there, people don't realize she said something to him. It's just that he's a sergeant. It's not much that she can say to him directly because of what happened, and it happened so quickly, but she did speak up. She ended up saying something, but there isn't a support system there for when you do, because people will find out you said whatever and told on whoever, but there are no policies in place to protect that officer. Because what I went through, once I made my statement, and I told you in previous videos, when I walked out of that statement room, everybody that I had to speak and say something about, they were standing right there. And of course, everybody's looking like, what the hell? Excuse my language. But I'm looking like, what the? And I turned back around and I said to the investigators that just interviewed me, I said, this is messed up, right? And after that, I was just left to the wind, if you will. I don't think it was done on purpose, but I had to navigate for a good 7 years. People don't want you on their team because you're the snitch, or people don't want you there because it makes other folks uncomfortable, because you told. We're going to have to do better in terms of putting policies in place that protect officers that have to speak out and tell about abuses or corruption that they see. There's nothing in place. Maybe there is now. I can't say there's nothing in place or isn't anything in place. But at the time, there was nothing in place to protect me or the other individuals that spoke up. Because like I said, there's another officer, she's retired now, and I didn't know she was going through some of the things she went through when she had to tell her story about what she saw this officer do. There was nothing to support her. And a lot of people wonder why. Why don't you speak up? It's a number of different variables, but that's one of them. There's no support system to support you. And so with me, there was a reality TV show that was taking place at the time that I was on. And I only did one season. And a lot of people you only did one season? That's the magic of Hollywood, how they can edit things and make it look different, if you will. I was on this reality TV show, and I had to stop doing that. I had to stop doing that because I was working with some of the same individuals that I had to report on, and one of them being a sergeant. And of course, they started to take me out of the scenes, if you will. Slowly but surely they did. And that affected money that I could have made, but there was nothing in place. And then when I tried to fight it, there are things in place that help against you fighting the ostracism. See what I'm talking about when it comes to fear? So the plan that I introduced last week, I told you, it addresses that. It addresses the accountability piece and the fear piece. But I just want to share that with you guys, that you can get through it. It's hard, but you can get through it. So on that note, I'll leave it right there because I have another part of the story that it's a part 2 that I'm going to share next week. And as usual, I'm going to leave you with this. You don't necessarily have to go through a thing to learn from it. All right, you guys, check out our online store. And again, I made some notebooks because I like to write with pen and paper. I put the links in the description for you guys to check out. They're only on Amazon, and also the link for our online store. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.